Okay, now let's move to the next chapter, that is called classes. Classes is basically ES6 syntax and is a syntactical sugar on top of prototype inheritance. So we'll be doing the same thing what we did in prototype inheritance, but in a different way. So to do that, first we need to go to our Explorer and I need to add one file called classes.js. The second thing I need to do is I need to reference this in the index file, so that will be linked. Now once I save all this, I can go to my classes. Okay, and to create a class you need to use something called a class keyword and then the name of the class. So in our case the class name will be book. We'll be using the same example we are doing till now, and here what we need to do is, okay, by mistakenly I did a parenthesis here, that is not required. Okay, so inside this book class, first thing we need to do, every class will have one constructor. Okay, so when we create a class, first thing we need to do is we need to create a constructor. So I will call this constructor method. Okay, and I'll just inside that I'll copy the code from this one. What I'm doing, I'll just let you know in a few minutes, and what I'll do, I'll just pass it name, writer, and the year. So what I did basically, I just passed 3 parameters to my constructor. So when I create an object of this book class or I instantiate it, so I need to pass 3 values which will be assigned to this 3 property we have, this dot name, this dot writer, and this dot year. Okay, that's what I did it. And now the class is ready. The next thing I need to do is I need to instantiate this. So I'll do that, instantiate. Okay, so to instantiate we need to create a variable that will be book1 in our case, and I will use the new keyword to create the object. And inside the constructor we need to pass 3 properties. So in our case I will be passing Meluha, Amish, and the year will be 2017. So I need to pass that in a double quote also. Okay, if I save it, okay, before I need to see that in the console also. So I will just console.log the book1 object we created, and we'll see what is inside that. And if I save it, okay, I got the book object and it contains 3 property, name, writer, and year, and it have a prototype, and that is having a constructor of book, and it is exactly same as prototype we did in the previous classes. So it is just a syntactical sugar to do this. Okay, now if I'll add a new method here. So what I will do, I'll add a new method here. So that name will be get book summary like we had previously, and this method will have the same. So I need to copy this one. I need to copy this line from here. Okay, I'll just copy this to here. So we'll do the same job what we did previously. What we are doing basically, we are printing the summary of the book. Okay, so now if I see this book object, you can see that get book summary is not there here, but if I call it, it will work exactly same. Save, and you can see it is working fine. So that get book summary is added to the prototype as expected. So we'll see that whether it is added or not. So when I go to this book object, when I go to the book constructor here, the prototype object, I can see that we have a get book summary. So I don't need to do all this stuff I was doing there. I don't need to call the prototype and assign the prototype. All this thing I don't need to do that. That is automatically taken care by this ES6 syntax. So that's why I told it's just a syntactical sugar on top of prototype inheritance. Behind the scenes it will be doing the same thing. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I will show you what is called subclasses or inheritance in classes. So for that, what I will do, I'll create another class that will be magazine in this case. Okay, and I will do and that extends. The extend stands for when you are inheriting from a parent's object, you will be using the keyword extend because it is a ES6 syntax which got added recently to match the other languages. In Java or .NET or PHP, we use extend to inherit from a parent object. Okay, and we are doing it from book. So what we'll do, this magazine, okay, will have a constructor. Again, I told whenever you're creating a class, you need a constructor for that, and inside the constructor we need to call the parent class constructor. To do that, there is a method called super. When you write super, it will call the parent class constructor, and in the super I need to pass few things. That will be this one, this name, writer, and yeah, I'll just copy from there. Okay, and I'll pass to this one and pass to this one also. And as we did in Novel, we'll add one additional field here. Okay, Jenna, we'll add it here also, we'll add it, not here. After that we'll be writing this dot Jenna equal to this one. So we added one extra property here. Okay, so now if what we'll do, I'll just instantiate a object of this magazine now, so to see what is happening behind the scenes. So I'll do mag1 and I'll do new magazine. Okay, and inside this, what I'll do, I'll just pass the same value. Okay, some different value I'll pass something like GQ. Okay, and the author, the writer, I don't know, so I'll just put X for now, and the year will be 2000. Every year we get it, but I'll just give 2018, and the last property we have is entertainment. I'll just give entertainment here. Sorry. Okay, so now if I print this magazine object, okay, what I'll do, I'll just console log at the magazine object mag1, and we'll see how we have the inheritance now. So you can see we have the two objects. First, the second one is the book object, which is the parent object, and this magazine is the child object of that. Okay, so now if I see, we got the three property by default from the parent object, so we don't need to do the book.call we did in prototype. All those things is managed by this super method. Okay, and we don't need to write any prototype and all. If you go to this prototype, you can see we have the prototype of magazine. If you remember, there we did something called, we need to assign the prototype to access this method. So now I will be directly accessing the get book summary. You can see that if I go here to mag1 and I'll do get book summary, I'll be directly accessing that. See, GQ is written by X into year 2018. We don't need to do all this thing we did in prototype inheritance. That's why I called this as a syntactical sugar on the top of prototype inheritance, and it is doing the same thing exactly like prototype inheritance. Behind the scenes, it is converting to prototype inheritance and doing the job for us, but the syntax is little bit good and better, and it's similar to the other programming languages also. Okay, so the next thing and the last thing I want to teach you today is called static methods. So what is static methods? Okay, so what is static methods? See, this whenever we are instantiating an object, okay, this property we have, right, Meluha Amishan 2017, it is available to this book1 object only. It is not available to this mag1 or any book2 or something. So whatever, when we are instantiating something, this property only belongs to that instance particularly. Okay, but when you want something to be common throughout your classes, throughout your child classes or parent classes, then you make that as a static. Means you don't need to instantiate to use that. Okay, first thing, so if I make a method static, I don't need to instantiate to use that. So what I mean by that, what I'll do in the magazine class, I'll add one static method. Okay, static get author detail. Okay. This is the method I'm creating. Okay, and here I'll just console.log. This method is not making sense. It's just to explain you I'm doing it. We'll never have this kind of method in a program. Okay, so just to explain you I'm doing it. So I'll just print it. Amish born in Uttarakhand. Okay, so if I do it, okay, if I save it, okay, so if I want to use this method called get author detail, I don't need to instantiate this magazine. What I can do is directly I can go here and I can console.log that, so that we can see that what we are having console.log, or I can directly call this get. So how to call that? We need to use the class name directly. So we'll go to magazine. Okay, we don't need to instantiate it. Okay, and we can directly call this get author detail. Okay, if I save it, you can see that I got the console log directly. Okay, I didn't instantiate the object, I directly used the class name and I called the method. But if you do the same thing for get book summary, if I do the same thing for get book summary, what I'll do, I'll just console log it, because there we are not logging it, console log, and I'll just call book, the class name is book. Okay, book dot get book summary. If I print it, okay, you can see we'll be getting an error. And if you go see, book dot get summary is not a function at classes.js. So that's the difference between a static and a non-static methods. For non-static method, you need to instantiate an object and then use it. For static method, you don't need to instantiate it. You can directly call that by using the class name. Okay, so that's it for all.